Now, you may have seen earlier this week, actor Laurence Fox had made some controversial remarks about the appearance of a Sikh soldier in the big new film about World War One. It's called 1917. High-profile movie. It's been nominated for all sorts of awards, including Oscars. Now, Laurence Fox said that forcing diversity on people is institutionally racist and that it wasn't in keeping with the film's surroundings. And he argued his point later on Good Morning Britain on Wednesday.
I think there were a lot of soldiers from all over the former empire, weren't there, fighting in World War One. So I suppose it would have been less incongruous to me if he'd got on the truck to a whole regiment of Sikh soldiers. More Sikhs would have been less... It feels sort of like with just one Sikh soldier there, you start going, oh, did the Sikh soldiers serve with the English soldiers? I'm not a historian, so I don't know. But it just felt incongruous.
Well, a great deal of work has been done by Sikh communities in recent years to raise awareness of the story of Sikh soldiers in the British Army. And Tan Desi, the MP for Slough, has been leading the charge in recent years. He joins me now. Tan Desi, good morning.
Good morning, Paul.
Hi, good to talk to you again. Now, you wrote an article in one of the newspapers this week, and you said that Laurence Fox must apologise for bigoted views. And he has subsequently done that. So has his apology gone far enough for you?
Well, look, first of all, I'm glad that he's apologized, but the problem is that individuals like him are trying to have this false narrative. It's a toxic view of a culture war, and I think it's one of those things which is almost trying to either airbrush history or trying to remove those individuals from around the world who have made an immense contribution to the freedom of our country, this great country, but also they have been at the vanguard of fighting fascism. And for either himself to be holding the views that what's going on with regards to war movies, it's about forcing diversity, it's about institutional racism, it's a diversion, to use his words. It's absolutely appalling because many of us, as you rightly pointed out, have been trying our level best to show that the largest volunteer army in history actually came from the Indian subcontinent. There were people from around the world, from our Afro-Caribbean countries as well, who were at the forefront of ensuring that that blood that was spilled, that is not in vain. And that's why the likes of myself were particularly incensed that somebody like him actually needs to learn history, and that's why.
But this is the thing, Tan. I mean, it has come from ignorance. He himself said in that clip, "I'm not a historian," and in his apology, he said to the Sikh community, "Please accept my apology for being clumsy in the way I express myself." So it doesn't sound like it was a deliberate attempt at airbrushing, does it?
But the problem is if you take his tone, even within question time, even within some of his other statements, there seems to be this pattern whereby individuals can just go about making flippant remarks. If you don't know something, then I don't think you should be making such grand statements, about, oh, this is about forced diversity. Why are we being forced? This is racism against the majority white British community, etc., etc. When the truth of the matter is, as I said to him, that I've studied for my MPhil in history, and that was on South Asian history and its connections with Great Britain. And the Sikhs that you're talking about actually served not only in Sikh regiments, not only in the Punjab or Indian regiments, but they were also serving with white British and indeed other coalition forces with their regiments also in battlefields around the world, and that's what is particularly galling, is that individuals like them are talking about forced diversity, and it's only because of the level of opinion that actually came not only from the likes of myself but also from other people within the right-wing media. They pointed out that, well, 1 minute, you've had more than 83,000 turban Sikh soldiers who have died during both world wars. More than 100,000 were injured, and that's why also the likes of myself have been involved in actually trying to install a statue of a turban Sikh soldier in the centre of our capital, because I think it's important to give that living history lesson, that symbol, which people like Laurence Fox and others can actually see for themselves, and therefore in future nobody will be making such remarks.
Well, a couple of high-profile Sikhs have actually welcomed what's happened. The UK Punjab Heritage Association's chairman Amandeep Singh Madra said, "I'm grateful to Fox. We spent 12 weeks doing an exhibition and we didn't get the same level of press coverage." And Hardeep Singh in The Spectator said, "It's simple. He's done more to highlight the inordinate contribution of Sikh soldiers during the Great War than most Sikhs could ever wish to achieve in this life or the next." So if we're looking for positives, that would be it, yeah?
I think your good self, Paul, and the other two individuals have hit the nail on the head in a way, because if there is something to be gained from this, it's the fact that somebody who tried to be so negative has actually led to more people being aware of the contribution of those from around the world, to the freedom of our country and further beyond. And it's great in a way because, as you said, otherwise people would not have been aware that more than 1.5 million people from what is modern-day India, Pakistan and Bangladesh actually rallied to the cause. They wouldn't have been aware that Sikhs made up 20% of the British Indian Army, and they wouldn't have been aware of, I think another individual in the Daily Mirror also wrote about the high level, the disproportionate level of Victoria and military crosses that were won by the Sikh community and by others. And I think that indeed is a positive. So I'm glad in that way, and I'm hopeful that once we've got the National Sikh War Memorial in Westminster installed, then that will also lead to further integration. Because, Paul, it's also important, what these individuals don't realise is that it is possible to be patriotic while also celebrating diversity, while also celebrating community cohesion. Everything is possible. It's not the case that one is either patriotic or one is either promoting community cohesion. Both things are possible. And it's through learning from history and actually teaching that history to our children and further beyond is how we will ensure that we have that integration within our country.
Well, we've only got a few seconds left. Just a couple of quick questions and quick answers, if you would. First up, you mentioned the monument, and we've spoken about this before. I'm wondering whether we now have a date when that might be unveiled.
There's no precise date at present. The National Sikh War Memorial Trust, its trustees, which is under, I'm the president of that, and we have our chairman, Andrew Fain, and other trustees who are working very, very diligently. We're working with cooperation of Westminster City Council with support from the Mayor of London's office and other government departments and also the opposition parties. So we've got our pre-planning application in. So we're working through all the details, and once everything has been worked out, then we will be advising on an exact date and a location. But it will, I assure your BBC Radio Berkshire listeners that it will be in a prominent place within Westminster.
Okay, and final question. Edward Fox's apology. "Fellow humans who are Sikhs, I'm as moved by the sacrifice your relatives made as I am by the loss of all those who die in war, whatever creed or colour. Please accept my apology for being clumsy in the way I express myself." You accept that and we move on, do you?
Well, look, I think what we've got to do is that we can't just dwell on an individual like Laurence Fox. As long as he takes that lesson, that history lesson, and stops making further statements, I think that will be the real
But do you accept the apology?
I think we've got to accept the apology and move on, because I think that we can't dwell on him as an individual. We've got to make sure that other people learn the lessons.
Understood. Tan Desi, always a pleasure. Thanks for joining us.
Likewise, Paul. Take care.